What's up, Vegas fans? I'm Jamie.
I'm Ashley.
And on today's edition of Vegas Valuations, we're pouring one out. Go ahead and pour out some of your drink. In the sink, man. In the sink.
Well, what? Why? Why am I pouring out my drink?
Pouring one out in memory of Ozzie the Giraffe.
Oh.
Lion Habitat Ranch. Now, before we get into it, let's share the sad story of Ozzie the Giraffe. This is what inspired me to do the show today. Ozzie, unfortunately, Nevada's only giraffe, from what I understand, at the Lion Habitat Ranch. I know what you think. Really, a giraffe at the Lion Habitat Ranch? Yes, or at least there was. Ozzie, on August 1st, I think, suffered a fall. And unfortunately, while the fall wasn't the immediate result of his untimely demise, he just didn't quite recover. And that is a big bummer. I don't want to, dwell on this, but what I will say is Ozzie had become world-renowned for his paintings.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Ozzie would take a paintbrush and you give him some canvas and creating works of art. And for those who were visiting the Lion Habitat Ranch, you could actually give a piece of lettuce or vegetable. He'd lean right over and very cool. Yeah. You felt like you had kind of an immediate connection to this animal.
And I do have to say, I never knew that giraffes had such long tongues and so much slobber.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you think, picture Beethoven, the movie, with the slobber everywhere. Ozzie was kind of like that. Maybe that's just a giraffe thing in general. I'm actually surprised. Now we're going to spend the entire episode talking about Ozzie. How strong the giraffe was. Like, I'm kind of strong. I would refuse to let go. And that thing was reaching, it was,
well,
I felt like.
Very big.
Yeah, I guess. I was just sort of like, nah, how strong can it be? But it was just about lifting me up. All right, let's get into it, though. Of course, if you're new to the channel, a couple of things to keep in mind right out of the gates on Vegas Valuations. We break down our experiences, whether it is at experiences like the Lion Habitat Ranch, whether it's at shows, whether it's at hotels, whether it's at restaurants, and we focus on one singular occurrence. And then we give you our Vegas valuation out of 10 so that you can be a little bit more prepared if you're thinking about checking this out. Now, again, keeping in mind, these are our opinions and our opinions alone. But if you like our vibe, if you think, you could relate to us, consider it maybe decent advice or at the very least an opinion that you can help formulate your trip with.
You could like and subscribe.
That was the next part.
Oh.
That was, you got it. You did indeed. We got to tell them what this channel's about, and then you tell them to like and subscribe because maybe they already hate it.
But you said if they like our vibe.
That's true. If you like our vibe,
like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Each of our shows, when we're offering a Vegas valuation, we have subcategories to formulate our out of 10 valuation, and in this case, we're talking about an experience. So we're talking about our enjoyment level out of 10, the duration of the event, vibes, and we'll give you today's price. Let's get into it. Our overall enjoyment of the Lion Habitat Ranch.
I really liked it.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say. I really, really enjoyed it. Like, it seemed like the animals were well taken care of. I've never been able to get such a close experience with wildlife like that.
Yeah, you're really getting an up close and personal experience with some of these animals. And I should mention that when we went to the Lion Habitat Ranch, this was still kind of COVID era.
Yes.
Right? Our borders, because we're Canadians, had opened. But the reason why I bring up COVID is because one of the most popular things during COVID was Tiger King. And in going to this place, I sort of felt like a guilt, because if there's one thing that you took away from Tiger King, A, is some people are batshit crazy, and B, maybe we shouldn't be keeping these animals in pens.
Right.
I didn't get that vibe at all from this place.
No.
And what you should know about Lion Habitat Ranch is that these lions are the apparently the direct descendants of the lions that were once at MGM Grand. So these are lions that have been in captivity their entire lives. Maybe that makes you feel a little bit better about going if you're very sensitive to that fact.
But we've been to some sketchy places,
Oh, yeah.
and this was by far nowhere near anything that I would consider sketchy.
It's not open anymore, but Google the Gazoo in Three Hills, Alberta.
Yeah.
That'll give you an idea of some of the things we've seen, and I'll tell you this much. It's nothing like that. There's a lot of professionalism. You can tell that these keepers really care about the animals, and again, a phenomenal experience.
Yeah.
They give you a guided tour. You're not just walking around.
You did have to pay extra for that.
Oh, we did have to pay extra for the guided. No, because there's a behind-the-scenes tour.
That's right. We paid extra for the behind-the-scenes.
So the guided tour is they basically bring you from inhabitant to, inhabitant? Is that the right word? They basically bring you from lion to lion. And they explain some of the backstory, they explain the name, and you will actually watch, it depends on the time of day, the keepers feed the animals. And again, you can just tell that these animals and the keepers have got a pretty tremendous relationship with just the way they interact. So that was very, very cool. Yeah. Our kids really, really enjoyed it. A phenomenal experience. Out of 10, what are you saying your enjoyment level is when it comes to the Lion Habitat Ranch?
I would say a 10.
A 10?
Yeah, I don't have anything bad to say about enjoyment.
I can't disagree. We're rating this based on what this is. If you're someone who does not like getting out there and walking around in the heat because it is outside, if you're somebody who
doesn't like a zoo,
zoos or doesn't like animals or is afraid of lions, then obviously you would not rate this a 10. But we knew what this was going to be somewhat like, and you're right. I think the apples to apples comparison, a great experience. Really enjoyed that this was something that we could take the kids to, and the kids still talk about it to this day. Yeah. The Lion Habitat Ranch. Out of 10, a 10 in terms of our level of enjoyment. That would then bring us to the duration. Again, guided tour. So it's not like you can freewheel it through the ranch and just do it at your own pace. What did you think of the duration?
I thought it was good.
I thought it was okay. Yeah, I mean, at no point did it feel like, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
But, you know what, I will say, once you've seen one habitat, you've kind of seen them all. I again, really loved the overall experience, but I think toward the end, having seen like the 7th or 8th lion, I was like, all right, we get it.
Right.
It probably could have been a little shorter, but what I really liked was you go through the lions, you do that, and then at the end, that's where they introduce you to Ozzie.
Yeah.
And there are other animals there as well. Keep that in mind. It's not just lions. You're actually going to see quite a bit of different wildlife there as you go from habitat to habitat. I don't know what they're going to do now with no Ozzie to kind of end the show, but I'm sure they'll think of something. Yeah, I guess out of 10, what do you put the duration?
9.
Yeah, okay, I'm all right with 9. Yeah, I wasn't crawling out of my skin to get out of there, but toward the end, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is about the right amount of time. I think for it to be a 10, you really got to be okay. Actually, you got to be disappointed when it comes to an end. You're like, oh, no, it's over.
Yeah.
There's not many things in life that when it's over, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm disappointed by this. But, yeah, I think you're right. I don't know.
Except for our last day at Vegas.
Yo, for sure. Yeah, actually,
never mind. Yeah.
There are trips where you're like, get me the hell out of this city.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you're back, you want to go,
because your feet hurt so bad from walking.
And you're broke.
Yeah, that's true.
You've had no luck. You're like, how is this possible?
True.
All right, so out of 10, we're giving the duration a 9. That brings us to the vibes. We sort of talked about that earlier.
Yeah, we kind of really went into the enjoyment level, and like I liked the vibes. I thought they were really good. The one thing and it was a while ago, so now, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but we paid for the behind the scenes, and I think we had the option, too, of feeding them?
No, we did not. We had to pay extra.
Right, but we had an option that we could.
Yes.
But, like, it was literally through a tube. So, like, that was the one thing that...
Yeah, okay. So here's where the vibes and the price and... Because there are different elements, and we'll show you that in the price in terms of what you're paying for. There's the general admission, and now that you mention it, I do wonder if the guided tour is actually something of an upsell, because we were there before they officially opened. Yes. We were there before they opened for the day.
Behind the scenes was
right
before they opened.
Okay, so with that in mind, keep this in mind when we're hearing about our experience. We actually paid for a bit of an upgrade to tour the facility before their gates had opened for the day. Now, you're not by yourself. It wasn't a private tour. There was probably about 20 or so of us, and then there was another group directly behind them.
Right.
So, again, so in terms of the vibes, that was one thing that did turn me off slightly, because it's like, okay, you've already paid for the upgrade. And now it's, oh, by the way, if you want to pay more, you can feed the animals. We watched a few people do it, and you're right. They give you
shove ground beef in a tube.
It's a blob of hamburger in your hand, and you shove it through a tube, which makes sense. Let's call a spade, okay? I think given that we're dealing with lions, yeah, okay, that probably makes sense. Speaking very quickly, and this is terrible that my mind went there, but it is what it is. It went to Roy of Siegfried and Roy. Speaking of,
You're terrible.
I'm not, but actually, if you're wondering where some of the animals from the Secret Garden went, that's where they ended up. So,
it's true, though. They're wild animals.
They are wild animals.
Honestly don't know what they're going to be capable of and what they can do.
To quote Chris Rock, tiger's going to tiger, and lion's going to lion. So you should maybe keep that in mind. If you're I'm going to feed a lion. Sorta. Yep.
You're not getting in the cage and feeding them.
Sorta. But that's Vegas, and I don't want it to harsh the mellow of our entire experience, because, man, you can't go to a restaurant without someone trying to upsell you a little bit.
Absolutely.
Would you like your picture taken? No, I'm good. Oh, would you like the special frame? No, I'm fine. So, yeah, out of 10, what would you give the vibes? The one very quickly, I did really admire their professionalism.
Yes, they were very good.
Again, on the heels of watching Tiger King, you sort of feel a little sheepish going in. You're like, oh, man. But huge difference, obviously. That's a no-brainer.
Absolutely.
If you've seen Tiger King, there were a little bit better Tiger King. That's not saying much. Huge difference.
Well, I guess
very
Tiger
professional.
King, too, that someone lost.
Again, things did not go well. Not to play spoilers, but that to me factors into the vibes, because I was immediately feeling better about being there, just given the professionalism of the entire outfit. So out of 10, what would we give the vibes?
I would say 9.5.
9.5. This is turning out to be one of our highest scores ever. So we have got out of 10, enjoyment is 10, duration is 9, vibes 9.5, and so the last component is today's price. And
while you're looking at that too, I just wanted to bring up, this is not on the Strip. It's actually in Henderson, correct?
No, it's straight south. I actually looked this up, so we'll get to that first. You're right. This is probably worth discussing. It is basically straight south of the Bellagio, and it is a jaunt. So if you're thinking that you're going to go walk there, don't do that. It's going to take you a long time. Yeah, you're going to have to take a cab or Uber, or maybe there is some sort of, we were not, and we're still not familiar enough with the public transportation to just hop on a city bus and then head on down there.
It is towards Henderson, though, but not in Henderson.
Yes, not in Henderson. Yes. And it's about a 21-minute drive. So keep that in mind. It does sort of factor into the price, right? Because it's not – this is certainly something that you're going to need to factor in because it's not something you can walk to. I think there's a 4-hour walk if you were to walk from the Bellagio
and I
to
would
the
not
lion
advise
habitat.
it.
No. Okay, so let's get down to brass tacks when it comes to the price. As we always do on Vegas Valuations, we show you the price if you were to book direct. I believe we got tickets on Groupon.
Yeah, I don't know if they have them anymore, but that's where we got our behind the scenes.
All right, so if you actually click on the general admission, it does sort of break it down. And I guess this does make sense. So, I don't want to get, again, too into the weeds, but if you're a local adult or child, you're going to pay $20. If you're an adult and not local, you're going to pay $25. Children with adults, non-local, are $10. Local extra children are $8. So that's where the price starts at $8, and it goes
the family.
Yeah,
great.
Goes all the way up to $60. That is tickets for 2 adults and children under 14, and that's probably, seeing as we hyped it up as being a family attraction or experience, that's probably the one you're going to want to go with, because you're obviously going to save some cash. And that is the family group rate, non-local, for 2 adults. And they don't actually specify how many kids. But nonetheless, 2 adults and children under 14. If your kids are over 14, you're going to be paying the adult rate. Actually, I think that was the case for us. We had to pay for, all of us were considered adults. So there it is. There's your price. I still think it's worth the price of admission. You could certainly spend a lot more at any one of the events or experiences or attractions in Vegas. Mm-hmm. And this one lasts a little bit longer, but keep in mind, and I think we should factor this into the conversation, as you've already done, you're going to have to pay for some sort of transportation to get you there.
Yes.
So there you go. Again, bit of a wide range, but for our audience, I think it's probably safe to say that we're paying $60 US for a family to go check out the Lions. So we've broken it down, our enjoyment, the duration, the vibes, the price. Out of 10, what are you giving the Lion Habitat Ranch?
9.5.
9.5 out of 10. I agree.
Yes.
I agree. I think it was just a phenomenal way to get off the strip, to kind of get a little bit of breathing room, because sometimes it can be super congested. And while I don't mind it as an adult, when we were bringing our kids along with us, it got old because it was super tight and kids were complaining. So this was a great way to get off the strip and check something else out, without that Vegas feel, a nice vacation in the midst of our vacation. We're going to Vegas. Mm-hmm. Couple of weeks.
A week and a half.
Week and a half. We will be in Sin City. We're not going to the Lion Habitat Ranch, but we are going to be checking out a few cool things that we have not done before. We're going to go see Dane Cook at the Palms. Didn't know Dane Cook was still alive, to be honest with you.
Seriously?
No, I knew he was alive. He'd kind of fallen off the radar there for a bit. But hey, we're going to give him a chance.
We rented a car and we're going to Laughlin.
No, we're not. We are not going to Laughlin. I'll never go back Laughlin. But we are going to go to the Hoover Dam.
Yes.
And then we're also going to go to the Valley of Fire.
Yes, I'm very excited.
And we're going to check out a bunch of great restaurants that we haven't had. So all the more reason to do what to the channel?
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe and follow along. We've got a lot more adventures and breakdowns and Vegas valuations coming your way.